I'm Joanna Simpson here at Risk Minds International in London. Joining me now is Anke Raufuss, partner at McKinsey Company. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Joanna. Very happy to be back at Risk Minds International. Has been a few years for me since I last came, and very happy to be pleased again support the conference as a knowledge partner here with McKinsey.
We're very happy to see you back. Yeah. And would you start by telling me, what is operational resilience and why is it so important today?
So operational resilience is really a hot topic at the moment. Think about all the disruptions that have happened over the last 2 years, whether it's COVID or the Ukraine-Russia war or cyber attacks that happen all the time. And those disruptions get stranger and stranger and more. There's such a variety of them. So you cannot be having frameworks in place for all of them at the same time, but you need to be prepared. And that's what operational resilience is about. It's about the ability to deliver really the critical operations of your company through a disruption, and then to withstand and recover from the shocks and to emerge stronger out of a disruption even. And that's a concept where it extends the old school risk management towards more of a proactive, forward-looking preparedness point of view. Recognizing incidents, disruptions, they will happen. We cannot avoid them. But if they happen, we need to be prepared and absorb them and recover quickly from them. And also regulations have picked it up. So also the regulators see operational resilience after having looked at financial resilience now for the last 15 years. See operational resilience as a big topic. And that's, for example, DORA here in Europe, or the PRI's operational resilience principles, but also the Fed, and also in Asia with the MAS and HKMA. So everyone is currently looking at that as well.
So how does operational resilience compare with existing risk frameworks?
Yeah. So you can maybe mostly put it into the category of non-financial risk. So you could call operational resilience a little bit non-financial risk 2.0. So it's the next version, which combines a bit more also the business continuity management, third-party risk management, and also the cyber technology risk management into it. So it's a little bit the next evolution stage, and it goes from the old school controlling risks, issue remediation, which is a little bit backward-looking and reactive. It pivots it towards a more forward-looking scenario analysis, scenario planning, having playbooks in place in the event something happens, and being prepared. And some banks, most banks, have actually uplifted their non-financial risk frameworks over the last few years, and that's a good foundation. So they are building on the end-to-end value chains that they've implemented, or the risk taxonomies, the control libraries. They are all using those and adding on a refresh of the business continuity plans, disaster recovery mechanisms, KPIs, KRIs, and so on. So they're really expanding existing frameworks towards a more forward-looking way, and in particular focusing on the critical business services. Maybe a word to that, because if you remember the time when we wrote recovery plans around the financial resilience after the crisis hit us, it's a similar thing. Back then we identified what are the critical economic function of a company, of a bank, and what is really core, what's our core business. And quite similarly now also for operational resilience, we need to identify what are our critical operations, who are our material third parties, that we're really reliant upon, and that in a disruption could really hit us if we're not well diversified, have a too big concentration, or if those services just don't work anymore.
And how are you helping companies with operational resilience?
So basically across the whole breadth of what you need to do. Some companies who are still uplifting their vanilla non-financial risk frameworks, the original non-financial risk frameworks, there we just help them bring that up to to a best practice standard. And that's then the foundation upon which to build operational resilience. So we are, for example, working with banks, looking at their scenarios and identifying what are the scenarios that are really most relevant for the profile of the organization, that are testing their critical business services, their material, third parties. And also, I think one of the regulators earlier in the conference spoke about reverse stress testing. You can even push those scenarios so far that you basically identify, okay, when would we break as an organization? When would things not work anymore? And that's another one. So it's the scenarios on paper, but it's also, which I always find very exciting, doing live tests with the executive team, sometimes with the boards also. So a little bit of war gaming, live tests to really test the plumbing and the mechanisms of that. And what I find interesting, all of this is applicable not only to the financial services sector, it's actually applicable to all organizations. And that in itself also gives us a lot of insight into how the portfolio of a bank will be hit by a disruption. So I really enjoy doing it, both for financial services as well as for non-financial services, because it helps me also understand where the vulnerabilities in the portfolio of the banks are, thinking about different sectors. Yeah.
Anke Raufuss, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Joanna.